AMG Hobby Talk number 97. You may notice a slightly different configuration of things. We'll get into that here in a second. But Collector the Scalps with people, Steve, right here. How are you?
I'm doing well, and this will be my last episode for the next 3 weeks. So I guess that's why we moved Blake up to the up by you. So
Blake's gonna be the star of this episode. But our star most of the rest of the time, bonus player over in the corner. How are you?
Fantastic for a Tuesday.
There you go. Look at that. And Blake, of course, last and certainly not least. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, just getting a lot done here early in the morning. Quite a hectic couple hours, and it's just after 9.
A lot going on in those shelves behind you. Look at all that paperwork.
That's not my office. I mean, mine looks similar.
No doubt. So here's the thing, guys. This is the week of stature. If we've got a couple of minutes, we'll make sure we touch on it. Worst case scenario, if for whatever reason we're short on time, I can always make a little side video on it, going over a couple of things. I will put a link in the description to the information for the checklist and all that. That information will be there. If you want to check out pricing and availability, you can always reach out to the store. All the usual stuff still applies. So if you got any questions related to that, I'll touch on a couple of comments from last week if I can. Well, actually, I'll do the comments real quick, and then I'll get right into the meat of one thing we want to talk about. So that's why I say we'll monitor the time. We'll see how we go with it, but I'll quickly touch on comments from last week. So Winston Hart here came with another great video. Nice to see Blair back in the shop on a more regular basis. Amazing Gretzky cards. Thank you. Speaking of the Gretzky showcase we did last week, we'll touch on that again in a moment because thematically that is appropriate. But thank you for that. Appreciate it. And then Octavio here says, bravo. So appreciate that. Thank you both. Always appreciate the comments. So again, we'll touch on, nice short and sweet this week, but if you've got any comments or anything that's not time sensitive, you can put it in the comments section and we'll usually follow up and talk about it. And this week we may have a couple of questions if you have them. If it's more time sensitive though, reach out directly to the store. That is usually the best way to get some information. So really what I want to focus on for a couple of minutes, we'll see how the timing goes because there may be a couple of things we'll go over. I'll put the little scrolling ticker across the bottom as well. So this past yesterday, at the time we're recording here, this is going to drop on Wednesday, but on Monday, an episode of the Hockey Card Gongshow came across the board, and at the very beginning, the first segment of it, they had an announcement, which does relate to AMG because they were name dropped as part of it. So they decided to create their own repack product. Now, on my podcast, I talked about this. So at the time that we're talking right now, that podcast has just gone live. So spoiler, I'll give you a quick rundown. I didn't find out about the repack until I was eating my lunch. And I was listening to Gong Show and eating my lunch, and then I almost choked on my lunch because I found out about it at that moment. I basically usually have rice and meat and a couple of things related to it, but I almost choked on it. Like it was a rough scene. It wasn't scallops, Steve. I'm not quite as fancy as you, but nonetheless, I managed. But we're going to talk to Blake here in a second. But Blake, I'm choking on my lunch because I found out about this thing from a Gong Show podcast. So here's the thing off the top. The Gong Show is the one who is featured on a lot of the materials and everything to it, but they do discuss that they are partnered with AMG, which obviously then kind of leads to the follow-up questions, which now I'm going to ask you, and we're going to talk about that. So first, let me talk about this. What discussions, give us kind of the short synopsis. What discussions did you guys have leading up into the idea of doing it? And then what role does AMG have in this product?
Well, first, apologies for keeping you in the dark. It was a quiet project, trying to keep it under wraps. And then, then Gong Show at the end of the day, it was time for them to start promoting it. So now you know. But yeah, it's one of those things where there was a lot of discussions about what repacks are and the type of repacks that you're getting nowadays. And we always have those discussions with those guys where, we know them. So, there's like you see on their podcast, that's all they talk about is cards and releases and everything like that. So it started off kind of simple conversations a few months ago and just led into something where we wanted to maybe try our own, give it a shot as a collaborative effort with, it being their product and us help filling the product, and so it kind of came together here in the last couple months. Once I started here, we just thought to ourselves, if we're going to do this, we have to look at what are the gripes that people have about these products, because we won't, like you've said before, it's some people have a love-hate relationship with the repack. Of the repacks you see, they kind of, one of the big things, the number one thing is that you don't, the value of the cards, you don't get anything of quality in most of the boxes. The floor is so low. So the main principle was we want to do a repack where if even if you spend a couple $100 on a box, when you open the box, you get the card, you look at it, and even if it's not maybe the chase card, you're like, this is a cool card, so we wanted to kind of have that higher floor. The other part of it too is that we wanted to make sure that the cards that you were getting weren't, what people saying junk is subjective, but we wanted to make sure that the cards you were getting were actually quality, like actual game used jerseys or on card autos, these types of features, as opposed to stickers and manufactured patches. So we wanted, we just felt like that in itself would allow for, when people open a box, even if it's not the best player, maybe, maybe it's a low number game used patch and they're like, this is still really cool, right? So it's more so looking at making sure that when someone bought a box, they were buying it with confidence, knowing that they would get a decent card no matter what, with a chance of getting a really great card, and to that point, we wanted to be transparent about what we were putting out. So there's going to be a full checklist available for people to see online of exactly what's in the 300 boxes. And we think, those are the kind of things that you just don't, I think, the major gripes about repacks. So yeah, with those ideas in mind, we here at AMG, we put our heads together and collected a bunch of cards that we thought, as collectors ourselves, thought were nice cards. And then on their end, they did the work in order to have it marketed, box, the design and promote it and everything like that is on Gongshow's end. So that's
okay.
really,
That's basically what I wanted to clarify there. So it is a relationship, it is a partnership. So based on the description you just gave, so is the main role of AMG in the sourcing of the cards, and then Gongshow takes said cards, because one of the things they mentioned is there's a third party that's supposed to do the boxing, that's supposed to actually put together the product. So that's not your responsibility. What is your responsibility in this process?
Yeah, so that's it. That's basically it, right? We are the source of the cards, and they are everything else. It's their product, and we are the supplier, if you will.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify. That's basically what I wanted to kind of get to, is that I want to make sure that we kind of make sure we clarify, because I listened to the episode, and depending on how you hear it and interpret it, you could get a different opinion of it, because they did make sure to credit AMG for it. That's why we needed to have the conversation about it. We need to make sure we talked about it with you, since you knew it as well as anybody else being involved with it. It is important. One important piece that was mentioned, I know on an Instagram live they did, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that those boxes, some of them are also going to be available at AMG, the actual product, once it's completed. Is that right?
That is right. So to touch on the second thing you had said there, there's a third party that is boxing the cards, completely unaffiliated with either of us, and they are being packaged at random and then sent back to Gongshow and us at randomized. We don't know. We're not opening any boxes ourselves. I don't know what's going to be in Canada versus what's going to be in the U.S. Right now, we're looking at having half of them stay in the U.S. and half of them come to Canada initially, so we can see how the sales go, and perhaps they sell better in the U.S. than they do here, and we're a week in and there's a bunch left here, and we decide to move them to the U.S. to sell. I mean, we've got to wait to see how the sales go with them, and where they appear to be getting bought up. But as of right now, it's completely split that way in terms of each country, in terms of distribution. But like, yeah, we have no idea once the cards are sent for boxing what boxes they'll be in or anything like that. It's just going to be completely random.
Sure. No, I got you. So that's an important distinction I wanted to make sure we clarified. A couple of details we wanted to get in. A couple of things I'm going to touch on real quick just to make sure we're all on the same page and so that everyone has the information. Both Steve, bonus player, and myself disavow all knowledge because, as I said, I nearly choked on my lunch because we were left in the dark. We were in the darkness. But with that said, I want to make sure since we're talking transparency, but let's talk transparency. We did a Gretzky showcase last week. And when the Gong Show guys are going through the cards, I recognized some of the cards there from the previous. So the more astute observer amongst you may see that at least one of those Gretzky autographs that were featured last week, that is a numbered card, may have appeared in said product, which I recognized immediately because I've seen that card before.
Yeah, no, Blair and I noticed a few irregularities in the store the last couple of weeks when, I'd be happy about a purchase I made or something like that. And I'd come in the store and I'd be like, where'd that card go? I'll commend Blake because it really was, Blake and I guess we'll call them his people that came up with this. Really, Blair.
He has
Blair
people. This is great.
Yeah. Blair and I just, we do the daily, day to day in the store. So it was 100%, Blake, and that's part of the reason we brought him in. Just, Blair and I are a little bit more old school, and Blake kind of brought this new side of things in, whether it's repacks or, I watch him. He looks like George Costanza pretending to do work in his office, and he's just kind of, trying some different things. So again, if it succeeds, great job, Blake. If it doesn't succeed, we'll talk about it.
Can we get the cards back?
But the rest of it. So I don't know about you, Steve, but I can immediately switch. No hablo inglés.
Yeah, but and again, thanks to the Gong Show, and again, Blake's built up more of a rapport with them. I've watched a few of their episodes, so I guess I need to pick it up a notch and start getting on the social media side of things and check it out. But yeah, this is a Blake thing, and I wish him all the best. But AMG was honestly I'm basically removing myself from all responsibility. But
I think
what you're basically hearing from Steve is the equivalent of basically this. So here's the AMG podcast. Everyone else is just off the screen.
Yeah.
Just the focus all goes in one spot.
Yeah.
I think
No pressure.
I think there's a bus tire tread on Blake's head.
Yeah,
I was just saying.
After we were informed about everything, we were pleased to hop on board, and it was a bit of a fun process because Blake had a price point he wanted these cards to start at, so it was actually a bit of a challenge because it was a large order. So fortunately, with our local, whether it's local dealers and collectors, we were able to provide some great cards. We actually attended a few local shows as well, which helped in that. So it kind of benefited the local collecting community too, because we went after cards aggressively and even made sure we even had to pay a little stronger just to fulfill this order. But it'll be fun to try. And I know people have asked us on this podcast any interest in doing repacks, and
once or twice.
And,
no.
and most of the time but again, that's why you introduce different people into the fold sometimes. This is Blake's brainchild, and I think he's trying a few other things too, and he may want to say those for other episodes. But it's it'll be fun to see what happens.
Yeah, and I had even less input than Steve. Having said that, though, I think it's a great idea to do it the way they're presenting it, because there is a lot of, it's another repack product. Like you're just, but I've seen a handful of the cards that are going in, and they're pretty awesome cards. So I think they're going about it the right way, and I think it's going to be a good product. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Now, Blake, I know you wanted to add something, but just before you do, I want to add one quick thing, kind of as an aside, because I think it would be responsible of me to do that for everybody's sake. One of the things that I am a big advocate of, and I've discussed repacks itself on my venues in my channel and all that and stuff that I do. It's one of those things where it's a product that exists for a reason because there is an audience for it, but I do want to make sure we're clear on this. The audience isn't everyone. These kind of products, I don't care who makes it. So just in general, speaking generally, a repack product is not for everyone because for a lot of times, if I am advising a collector who isn't as experienced, doesn't know what it is, if they're looking for something specific, I'm always going to recommend buying the single. That is simply going to make more sense for them because then you get exactly what you want. Even if it costs a little bit more to get it, but you'll get precisely what you're looking for. And then, the repack is the mystery element. It is going to be a little bit more on the gambling side because it's like opening a box. You open a box because you're hoping that, hey, maybe you'll pull something really cool. But if you're looking for a specific thing, then the box might not be the most efficient way for you to get the thing you're looking for. The same thing with the repack. Even having the full checklist, well, I think the repack run that they're doing, I think is 300 boxes, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's 300 of these boxes. Well, you can see the whole checklist and you can be like, oh man, that card would be really cool. Well, the thing is you got a 1 in 300 chance of pulling it. So if you want the specific item, then unless you plan on buying 300 boxes, that's the only way you're going to be able to guarantee it. So that's why I say like the mystery element can be part of the fun if you're looking at it from that perspective because you don't know what you're going to get. So there is that audience for that. But if you are a person who is a collector who's focused and keyed in on certain things, then this isn't necessarily the first avenue I would direct you to. So I want to make sure that at the same time we're talking about it, I also want to responsibly say, hey, well, the store sells singles. So if you're looking for something specific, target the single. If you are curious, if you want to find out what's in the mystery box, it could be a boat or not a boat, then that's what those boxes are for.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. I mean, if the thing about kind of what Steve said, the reality is that we are doing this. It's a fun project, like it was fun to try to go through the, find these cards and go through them. It wasn't, I mean, long term, you're kind of hoping that it maybe is successful and that you have you have a good idea, but we just enjoyed doing it, because we knew that we were putting together something that was, really cool to look at as a whole. We're putting them together and we're just like, man, this set's going to be super cool, but it, like you said, it's not for everybody.
Nope.
People may just like today, there's people that will come in and buy sealed boxes and rip them open and hope to get something. That's probably who it's for, right? It's for the person that just likes the rush of opening a box and get, or just the nostalgia of it. Like even myself, like logic tells me never buy a box and open it, right? But do I still do it because it's fun? Yeah, right. So we wanted a fun product. We wanted something where someone was like, man, like I love opening this because I just feel like I can't lose, So I mean,
I will point out too, just the finishing up like the last 150 cards. We were paying strong for them because it was a project we just wanted to complete. So really, like, financially, it's not even necessarily a huge moneymaker for us because we just wanted this product to be done. It's a trial run. That's the cost of a startup business basically is, sometimes you bite off. I don't know if we bit off where we could chew, but we were in a bit of a pinch to get this, product done. And it was actually impressive. We had a timeline and it wasn't a very long one. And, right at the midnight hour, we were able to complete it. So depending on how this goes, there'll be a little bit more preparation, that sort of thing. And the bottom line, will change possibly for the next one. But this one, if, sometimes we even paid full comps on a card just because it was a cool card. And, this round, it was just about trying something new and seeing what kind of response we get from it. And like you said, Carlos, it's not for everybody, but I think those that chose to do it will enjoy it. And I think Blake has like a minimum, price point. Like the cheapest card is going to be worth X amount. And even that cheaper card it's a lot better than, sometimes when you open a box of cards and, there's nothing in there. So even the less expensive card is still a nice card you can appreciate.
Now I do have a question. Let me kind of give a follow up here. I'm gonna represent the person who will ask some of the questions, so that way we can kind of start off with them right up front. One of the challenges that a lot of the repacks have. So you talk about how you guys have focused really on the checklist, trying to get certain cards that fit the criteria you're looking for. You talked about the on-card autographs, game used in the memorabilia with the players, which is all those are good values that people are looking for in the cards. But this really is an important piece, and this is a challenge for everybody across the board. Doesn't matter who tries it. When you try to figure out what a floor is, so you got your ceiling, you got your floor. Ceiling are obviously your big chase cards, or the ones that people are trying to get. You're hoping, you're crossing your fingers. If you get lucky and you pull one of these, they're the big card. But the floor is the thing that a lot of people focus on, because that is the worst case scenario, so to speak. You open one, this is kind of whatever that category is. But pricing is dynamic. Stuff changes in the marketplace. So when you're trying to focus on it, there are going to be, like, I think when Gongshow was going through some of the cards, there was a mix of different things. There were some rookies, there were memorabilia cards, there were autographs, there were game used, all kinds of things. Game used and autographs, like a Gretzky autograph, is going to hover within a certain range. It's on the upper, it tends to be on the upper end. But for some of the stuff on the basically near closer to the floor, how comfortable did you guys get when you were sourcing, when you're looking for stuff that doesn't jump around too much? You don't want too much fluctuation, because if you have too much fluctuation, something that's in the floor could easily go below what the floor you were targeting is if something changes. So what thought process were you going when you were trying to source cards to make sure you didn't get something that was too volatile?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what we were looking for were cards of players or from sets or rookies, where their floor right now might be near the lowest it might have been in the last couple of years. Okay. It's kind of that thought process. Well, this card, if you looked at this card, you might look up the comp and be surprised that it's that low, right? If that's the kind of feeling you get when you look up a card and you thought it was going to be higher, it's probably because the card's really nice and it's probably low now, but might not be low later. But I mean, you're totally right. The market's always changing, even on the high end. The high end ones can go up and down. If the 10, there 10 cards from a few years ago that are autos and patches tend to not fluctuate as much, more so current rookies will and stuff like that. So you can't completely protect yourself from that, that fluctuation, right? But you can look at the card and say, if I can't tell you how many times where there's cards that we looked at and we're just like, man, that was the last sale on this. So if you have that reaction, that's a pretty good sign that the card itself is probably really nice, and maybe it's just a product of a bad auction time that the sale happened, because it's so rare or whatever, we leaned more towards those types of cards than putting in cards where you're like, holy crap, that sold for that, No,
I definitely think the selection of cards, like Blake said, it's impressive, and a lot of it has to do with the eye appeal. I know there's been other repacks where the conversation, it would be like, wow, 3 years ago this was worth 500, now it's worth 75. I think a lot of the cards that the guys chose were ones that have either settled in price, and if they fluctuate either way, it shouldn't be too significant. And then there's some cards in there that have potentially great upside. So I think I think it's going to be a solid product.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of being transparent with the checklist, right? I could say all this, and if we weren't posting a checklist, I mean, who's going to say otherwise? They're going to be like, oh yeah, that's a bunch of BS. No, I'll say this, and then you can go look at the checklist and tell me yourself what you think.
We
know?
lost Blair. We lost Blair again. I think he got.
No, I
scared.
noticed. Like he gallivants mid-show now. Like he doesn't even wait till the end of the show before he begins the gallivanting.
Well, his face was frozen for about 90 seconds,
Yeah.
and then I just saw him walk by the office with the old. I don't know.
Oh, he's gonna log out and go back in. Just reuse the link. He just have to anyway. We'll deal with that later. Okay, so real quick, I'm gonna cover one or two more things. Then, is there anything? Let me ask this question, and then we'll finish off with anything else. Like I said, we don't need to spend the whole show on it, but I want to make sure we touch on it because it is something that came up.
Oh, and you didn't know.
Yes, and literally I needed to ask questions. So real quick, so if when it goes live and the boxes and all that is ready to go, as I said, AMG will have an allocation of those included as part of what we just talked about. If there are questions related to it, so let me ask you, Blake, if there are questions related to it, who should the questions be directed to? You might be able to answer questions related to it, but is that if somebody's there locally, should they be asking you? Should they be asking Gongshow? Who should they be inquiring to? Should they be asking Steve?
I mean, people are gonna, not Steve, no. People are gonna come in the store and ask about it and ask questions about it when it's sitting on our shelves. I mean, that's right.
Yeah, but I just mean in general terms. So is it fine just to ask there? Or?
Generally speaking, you would reach out to Gongshow to ask them about
I've got a question. Like, where will this checklist be posted? Like, is it on the back of the packaging, or scan a barcode? And
what's the main? It's going to be on like.
So Gongshow is supposed to have it on their website. That's what they said. They said it should be something available on their website. They have created an Instagram page for this product separate from their normal Instagram as well. So I think it's going to be part of their Gongshow website. We can get confirmation, but that's what my understanding is based on what they said.
Yeah, it's going to be posted. I'm not sure which exact one, but it's going to be posted on a Hockey Card Checklist site, an official site. Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, I will say this came together very quickly. So again, Carlos, I'm learning as you go, but again, between the Gongshow guys and Blake and his crew, it's impressive the effort they put into this in a short amount of time.
And people should watch the Gongshow podcast. I mean, I know it's a plug, and we're working with them, but I mean,
a shameless plug, truly shameless.
Yeah, but you should watch it because I mean, if you want info on what the price is going to be or when it's going to be officially available online or in stores, they're going to be the ones to break it. As you know, Carlos, they like to break the news. So.
Oh, they do. They really do.
So that that's it's their product. So they're going to be the ones to do. So tune into them.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Blake, let me kind of close off on this question then. Is there anything else that I need to know? Can I eat lunch in peace, Blake? Like, is there can I finish?
Like Steve said, like on a lower scale, I got a little something going on in the store, similar on the lower end side of things, but it's not like this major. But yeah, I'm doing a little mystery pack for the store as well, just a smaller end product, just for kids, stocking stuffers, birthday add-ons. I just think it's something, and it's a similar idea, so it's going to have an auto or a game use patch in every pack. It's going to be inexpensive at $5 a pack, but no, don't expect a Bedard auto. It's not what's in there, but there are Future Watch autos in some of the packs that could be, the player could turn out, you never know. So it's that kind of stuff. That's fun. I feel like kids, I know when I was a kid, I would if I opened a pack and got a game used jersey, I mean, it could have been Darius Kasparaitis and I'd be like, woo, So, I mean, kids like that, they like the patches and the autos. And to me, you have a lot of lower end stuff that those cards are just so available now that, kids aren't pulling them out of their, upper deck packs, so they might, but it's not every pack. So I just thought that concept could work on a smaller scale too for the store. So I will, I almost have those ready. So maybe next week I can show you what the pack looks like or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea as well, especially just a, lower price point. Parents come in with their children. Maybe mom or dad's buying a $200 wax box, and they got to make the kid happy. So here you go, here's a pack for you. And like Blake said, to have an autograph or a jersey card, and And actually, now that you said that about, we might as well throw a couple good cards in there as well. Make it a little chase for the kids.
Yeah, and I mean that kind of goes to. So I wanted to run it first just as is without any huge, kind of quirks to it. I just wanted to see how they do in the store.
So we're not inserting bonus player autographs in
Not
there?
yet.
Like, give me a big chase.
SPs, no AMG employee SPs yet.
Wow.
But maybe in the future. Like that's the thing. If it does well, then there's really kind of an endless list of things you could do with it. I mean, you could have various price points, different packs. You could have, like you said, you could have a checklist of what the hits are. You could say, this is the chase card. Try to get this big card in a couple hundred. There's 200 packs, let's say, and you say at one of these 200 packs has this card. There's a lot that you could do with it. But I just wanted to see if there was interest in them first before getting too crazy with it. So, but yeah, Steve makes a good point. That's definitely on the radar if it's something that people like.
And it's just a good option for the store too, because sometimes kids come in and they show some interest in the hobby. If we have something laying around, we'll throw them a bone, whether it's a card or So just quick thinking, if we like a kid's potential, we might be here you go, enjoy it, on AMG, that sort of thing. So it's a good little I guess marketing tool, if you want to call it, and kids and parents do appreciate those sort of things, those sort of gestures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sounds fair. So what I'm going to do is I've got some of the stuff queued up that we would normally go over, but I want to make sure we're good on time. So what I'm going to do, I'll quickly go over the products that are coming in the store. A lot of it is restocks and such. Stature is the new one. I will include a link in the description to the checklist and everything related to Stature. Time permitting, I may put together a quick little video just as a supplement, just going over the basic things as we usually do, but we'll do it separate. I'll take care of it on a separate thing. I can tell you, Panini Prism Baseball, Panini Noir Basketball International, Panini Silhouette Basketball. So some of these are restocks and such. Limited availability on a number of them. If you have questions about number of boxes available and pricing, reach out directly to the store. That'll give you the direct answer. 2025 Star Wars Chrome Value Box. A couple of Upper Deck authenticated products. Buckets Basketball, Threads Jerseys. Those are 2 Upper Deck authenticated. And then 24-25 Stature Hockey, which actually contains 2 years of Stature, 250 card checklist. So I can tell you it's a 100 card checklist in there with veterans and such. One note I will give you just up front. This is the first time since the late 2000s, so the late aughts, that Bobby Orr will have game use memorabilia included in an Upper Deck product. So that is kind of a big return because he's been kind of a gun shy. He hasn't wanted them to do that, so they've kind of honored that wish. But with Stature, there are Bobby Orr sticks, and I believe there is a jersey available, very limited, but there are some sticks and stick autographs and such that is included in Stature. So that is kind of a new thing that hasn't been available since like 08, 09, I think, somewhere in that range. It's been a long time since that's been available in there, but that is included in that product. There you go. So what we'll do is we'll go with that. Again, if you got questions related to any of this, reach out directly to the store. That is always the best way. In the description, we put a lot of the information. I think once the website and such go live, we'll make sure to include that information in the description. That way you guys can check it out for yourself. I will include a link to the Instagram for the Gong Show product because you'll probably be able to get links and such from there. So I will include that in the description to this video. That way you've got a starting point because it includes the video where they go over some of the cards and you can actually see them for yourself. And then more information can come from that. And if Blake has any other surprises, I will make sure to guard my lunch carefully. We cannot have a repeat of the incident.
I'll do better.
Well, I'm afraid like I said, I'll be away the next few episodes, so I'm a little gun shy of what I'm going to come back to. Hopefully, I still have my office.
Look, all I'm saying is if there are certain commenters who have been on this, beating this drum, and we are personally going to withhold all those comments until Steve's triumphant return, and it will be a Steve-centric mailbag where you can ask all your Steve-related questions.
Can't wait.
I should mention that the card show is on Saturday the 27th. It's fully booked. It's been fully booked since September 4th. The demand just every month is getting higher and higher. We did get 20 additional tables. So now we're up to 160. And I just sent out an email today. If anybody hasn't checked their emails yet that's watching this, there are the maps on there and we're fully booked and there is a waiting list. But, you know, if anybody that's on there isn't going to make it, let us know because there are other people that would like to attend. But we're trying to expand it, and you know we got to take a cautious approach with it because you don't know long term if it's always going to be that way. But it just seems to keep growing every month, so that's great. So, but yeah, it's less than 2 weeks away. So
perfect. Good stuff. And we'll keep everybody updated as we go forward because that's one of the things we want to make sure we cover into it. And then, like I said, in the coming weeks, we'll make sure we cover that. And then starting in a couple of weeks by the end of the month, we'll start doing a quick countdown to Expo because it'll be fun to kind of have that as we get a little bit closer. Right now, we're about 51 days out. I started keeping the little counter on my podcast just because it's fun. The national guys do it like 6 months in advance. So honestly, we've shown restraint. But we're getting within range though. If people want to book their hotels and such, they may want to make sure they've already done that if it's applicable to you. So for myself, I already took care of those arrangements, but there's still time. But we'll start giving reminders as we get a little bit closer. AMG will be present, but we'll talk about exactly what AMG is going to be doing, what they're going to have going on. Steve will not be able to join us, but there will still be AMG members of the team that will still be there, and we'll still do some stuff related to it. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So I'll make sure I get you guys out on time. So thank you, Steve, Collector Scalp Company people. We'll see you in about 3 weeks when we get the Steve Mondo mailbag. Bring all your questions for Steve, all of them. The meaning of life, everything you got for Steve. Make sure you ask the questions. And Blake, I thank you for kind of clarifying, and hopefully my lunch is safe.
No problem at all.
Excellent. So that's it for this episode. Thanks very much. Make sure to include information. If you got comments or questions, put them in there. And if you got direct things, reach out to the store directly. And I'll try to include something for Stature on the channel this week so that you at least have a little more info related to it. Otherwise, you got the checklist link in the description. Thanks very much. We'll catch you in the next one.